safety first. So I'll be using a 12mm by 2.4mm blow tube for this exercise here. This is my preferred tube of glass to work with. It has a good thickness and a good outer diameter for my hand to spin in. The first step to doing a coil pot is creating a bit of a neck up on the clear here. If I coil pot directly onto the clear 2.4mm blow tube, it's going to be very easy for me to lose control and begin blowing out the clear color, the clear blow tube instead of the color, because the clear is going to heat up much quicker and much easier than the color will. The clear will heat up easier and quicker than the color. Is that what I said? I hope so. It's always important to make sure that your torch is in the correct position for your shoulders to be working. My torch right here is on an LCD monitor arm, so it's very easy for me to adjust it based on what I'm doing and where I'm working. For instance, if I'm working on the lathe, it's very easy for me to adjust it to that. But I can also adjust it for standing behind it and doing hand exercises as well. So you'll see here a thicker spot of glass on the top there. There's definitely a technical term for that. I just don't remember what it is. And then I always like to remove the first section of the tube, so I begin with a pulled point of color. Now you don't have to remove very much at all, just a tiny little bit. I find that sometimes that little bit right there has some schmuzz in it, and sometimes creates air pockets and stuff. So now, as I'm coiling around here, my left hand is rotating the rod, what direction? I think I'm going clockwise. It doesn't really matter which direction you go, but I'm constantly spinning it here. So when the pattern gets laid down, it'll actually have a spiral texture going up and throughout it. So I've got it started right here, and now I'm going to go a little bit quicker by using the larger flame. The idea with a coil pot here is to essentially heat just the rod of glass and create a pot with a coil of the color. And by only heating the rod, I'm sticking it to the outer edge and creating an outwards cup. And now I'm actually going inwards to sort of close off the coil pot, because I want to have it terminated to encapsulate the air inside there, so I can blow it out and even the wall thickness out to create a hollow vessel of glass made with solid color. So as you can see, as I get close to the end of my rod here, I'm starting to slow down because it's getting a little bit hot on my hand. And I'm going to have about 5 inches of the rod left, and in a future video you're going to see why that's not a bad thing. Using a blow hose around my neck, I'm now going to insert this in the flame, making sure that I have a high oxygen flame on there, because there's a high silver content to this and I don't want it to fade out or go to like a grayish color for me. So by using a high oxygen flame, I'm going to be keeping the silver off the surface of this glass. So I'm going to melt it down into a ball, and in just a second I'm going to begin to add air to it. And what that will do is push out the walls and begin to even them out. So you can notice that I'm also rotating both directions, because if I went in a single direction, the tube itself would start to spin. Now I'm holding it downwards because I want the last of the heat in this glass to draw the glass in a downward fashion. That is now an official finished coil pot right there. And as it cools down, we're going to see the colors start to come through on that. So there are the colors starting to come through right there. And I'll of course put end shot of it once it cools down. So there you go guys. A simple technique that is pretty much necessary for using color in hollow work. You can also do a few other methods that I'm going to show you. But this is the main one, the simplest one in my opinion, and the most effective at creating a solid color structure on a hollow vessel. So cheers guys, have a good night, and of course, happy smoking.